I promised I would post more videos, and I haven't in a really long time. So I thought I would make this very quickly. Christopher is picking Bailey up from Girl Scouts, and the boys are playing a game together. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna film something, but I don't really know what I'm filming. So that's the catch. I'm sorry. I am 22 weeks pregnant right now. Let me see if I can get my bump in here. Blip, 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 blip. Baby man. He's so cute already. He's moving around in me, and it's my favorite thing. I love feeling babies move in me. I wish it could happen more. I'm so excited. Like, I can't wait for it to be more. Right now, sometimes, this is the weird thing. Sometimes it like happens, and it's like a weird, like I try to figure out like a good way to describe what it feels like to have a little tiny miniature person moving inside of you. And sometimes I have to say, like, I forget what's going on, and I'm like, what's wrong? Like, it's something like, it's like this weird instinct of like, I want to push it back, or like be like, what's going on with my stomach? Like, what's going on there? And and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's little tiny baby kicks. But I can never figure out how to describe it. I don't know. I wish I could really tell you, because it's so cool, but it feels like weird twinges, like that shouldn't be happening inside a person. And then you realize what it is, and you're like, this is the best thing that ever happened. And I want to share it with everyone. I'm always like, guys, come here. And then I have to hold my breath like this to try to not move my stomach, because if I breathe or do anything and Parker's trying to feel for the baby, he's like, I felt a kick, and he's the happiest child in the world. And I'm like, should I tell him that was just me breathing? Or like, I don't really know what to do about that. It's kind of a hard moment, because he's so happy, and it's not like, he's so little. And he'll be feeling it all very clearly soon enough, and seeing it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Ah, babies. I'm so like having a new baby feels very unreal. We haven't done it for 3.5 years, which sounds like not that long ago, but for some reason it feels like very distant. And I can't wait to be back in like diapers and just nighttime feedings and cuddles and like just the craziness of it. I'm really, really excited. And I was thinking today, like, I was trying to remember, because really you can't comprehend having a newborn baby until you have one, and the hardships of it, and like just how wild it is. Even when you've had children, like, you can't prepare yourself for the life shift of newborn stuff. And I was thinking about changing diapers and how I don't mind it one bit. In fact, I don't mind it enough, because I was thinking about how, like, for me, I love to just like toss a baby anywhere, like on my bed or wherever, to change their diaper, and how like that's really hard. That it's hard to be like in a classroom. We were in a homeschool classroom with the kids, and I was thinking about how like when we have this baby and he has a poopy diaper, how I'm going to have to leave and go find a place to change him that's appropriate, so that people aren't getting bothered by the smell and everything, of course. Because really it is, I mean, you can't expect a small room of people to be just okay with your child's poop smell in the air. So, like, I understand why you'd have to move somewhere else. But then again, like, there aren't bathrooms where I'm thinking where there are changing tables or anything. So, like, you have to really figure out these solutions for odd situations. And with babies, a lot of the times the poop is not just like simple and in the diaper, but it's up the back and like in the clothes, and it can get really, really wild. It doesn't bother me, but you have to figure out solutions for it. You have to like go into your car, and then what do you do when you have 3 other small children? Like, where did they go? Do you pull them out of wherever they're playing? And I was just kind of thinking of the logistics and preparing myself for that. And it's so interesting just how things shift, and how that you really have to be like thinking and planning for poop like 5 or 6 months in advance in your life, and like knowing what you're going to do. And just, and that's what motherhood with a newborn is like. It's like every day you're kind of like, okay, I'd like to go to the store. So where's the baby going to be when I'm pushing the shopping cart? And there are some solutions to that. There's wearing a baby, which I've never been that strong. Like, and not only that, but wearing a baby. But can you wear a newborn? Because you can. That's the easiest, like light wise, like they're the lightest. But then I like to use my Ergo baby carrier, and it has a newborn attachment, but it's still kind of odd feeling, and they have rules to it. They're just like little tiny rules for like every couple weeks when things change. So you're like, okay, well, my baby can now lift up their head so they can do this. My baby can sit in a seat so they can, or in an upright position so they can do this, but they can't do this anymore. And like, there are just all these little things that matter a lot in this small period of time when you're not sleeping. And you're really not sleeping. When you have a newborn, here's a rule with newborns that I didn't know about when I went into the whole like baby having thing. But not only is it like, oh, my baby's crying all the time, I have to take care of it. And like, it's not just that. It's not as simple as the baby wakes up, so you have to take care of it. It's the baby actually has a tummy that's so tiny that you have to feed it every 2 to 3 hours in the beginning. It's not like if they're sleeping right away, you can just let them sleep. You're supposed to. And if you didn't do it this way, I'm not judging you one bit. I'm just like, this is what I learned that I was like, what? Okay. All right, I'm up for it. You're supposed to wake your baby up and nurse your baby, even if it's sleeping. So you have to be like, wait, I just went through pregnancy and then labor, which for some women is long and exhausting. I'm really grateful that most of my labors weren't as like massive as some women's labors are. Like when I hear about 72-hour labors, like people say I had labor for 72 hours, but you don't really get that then the following 48 hours, they weren't sleeping because they were making sure that their baby was fed and cared for. Like you really actually have to be awake every 2 to 3 hours to take care of that little tiny stomach and make sure your milk's coming in. And there are all these like important things happening. And also if you do a hospital birth, the nurses come in magically. And I love the nurses, but they always come in like as soon as you get to sleep and they have to do it like throughout the night because they have to test the baby for like functions. And I think there may even be like blood draws, like maybe when they're testing for jaundice, that happens. Like there are these things and you're like, what now, nurse? What are you here for? I just like, this is my time. It's my sleep time. I don't know. I've never been through this, but I think some women share rooms once they've had a baby and then you've got their baby doing stuff. So there's a lot that goes on right after you give birth, which you'd think that's probably the time that people need the biggest break. But no, that's when you're going to be working the hardest. So be prepared for that. And then it's 2 to 3 hours and it's 2 to 3, like that keeps happening. It's not like 2 to 3 hours, then you get your like day off. That's what newborn life is like. We'll see. I'll tell you more in detail in about 4 months here. But that's kind of what I'm like remembering, wrapping my head around and excited about this little guy. And it's funny to think of like the kicking and how excited I am and how I'm like, everybody get in the room, he's moving. And like, I look at Parker and because he's our littlest and like, look at his arms moving. And I don't go, oh, I want to touch your elbow and just bump it a little bit because that's magical. Like, it's so crazy to think that, he's going to be just a little guy. And I won't obsess over the tiniest little kicks and moves. I'll just be like, he's kicking again, or like, stop kicking, or all of that. So I'm just thinking of it all. Just in this mama mode. I'm so excited. Little baby. All right. Well, this is my 22-week update. It's a lot of gushing and thinking about newborns and other kinds of things gushing that I have to clean up in various spots in the world. And I'm trying to think of anything else that's going on with me. The Zantac, which I started taking for heartburn, has been helping. So that's really good news. I still am getting heartburn, but it's much less. And like life seems more manageable. I have been waking up still very early at 5 a.m. usually. So that's been weird for me. I'm not a morning person, so but I've been managing it. Like it hasn't been the worst, but it has been kind of weird. And that's actually like there have been a lot of good things about it. I've always wanted to be a morning person. I really admire morning people. It's just a little difficult because I'm also still a night person. So like I'm waking up and not getting like really feeling like I'm getting enough sleep, but like I can't get my body back to sleep because I'm like so stressed out about the dreams that I'm having, because I just get these really like frightening mom dreams that they're not like gory or anything. They're just odd. I can't remember my last one. I was going to tell you guys what it was. I thought about it the other day where I was like, I have to share this. This is so ridiculous that this is what's stressing me out at 5 a.m. and I can't sleep. And oh, you know what? I remember. It was that I was walking around with another pregnant mom and we were having like a field trip, and she was like huge pregnant and I was feeling huge pregnant, and we all had like 3 kids, and we had to walk through busy streets and parking lots. And that was like the whole dream, was like we were going somewhere and all we were doing was like crossing streets. And it was and this is this is the kind of dream I have frequently, is just like crossing streets with a bunch of children. That's what a terrifying nightmare is to me. And it just like, I'm like, I can never sleep again. I'm going to have to cross streets with children. Like it's so, with mass amounts of children. And we were going up steep hills and through parking lots of people that like couldn't drive properly. And it was so like terrifying. I mean, it sounds silly, but like really that is like what my mom heart at night. Like that's my big fear, is like that situation over and over again on repeat. Is just making sure your children aren't run over or don't dart out into parking lots. That stresses me out a lot. So I think that's a solid 22-week update. We got to hang out with J House Vlogs this week, and they're really sweet people. What else is going on in my life? So I remember this in my future, and I'm showing our little baby, like, look what was happening when I was 22 weeks pregnant with you. What else did we do this week? Oh, I ate at Denny's twice. That's been really important to me. I just love eggs and hash browns right now. That's what I want. And that's been really good. And that's it. I drink a lot of water and a lot of tea. And it's all decaf and herbal. And sparkle water. So happy day. I'll try to do this again. Not 10 weeks from now. Sooner. We'll see.